Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
And
Okay.
if it snows,
Are we
we'll,
ready? I think we're all here, but Matt is probably. He's out of town.
Ryan is at a family
Emergency.
situation.
Okay.
we have a forum.
We do.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to so pleasant morning yet, but it will be a great weekend ahead of us. So welcome to our gathering for the month of November. May we have the roll call, please, by Director Jones.
Kathy Breitner.
Here.
Josh Baker.
Here.
Jody Eubank.
Here.
Nikki Law.
Here.
Deanna Mulder.
Here.
Brian Bedini is absent. Amy Gillard. Here. Ella Reddy.
Here. Welcome everyone. Let's roll first into our minutes. We've all received the minutes from our October gathering. Do we have any comments, corrections?
I did read them.
For you.
I make a motion, we accept as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Oh my.
That's a first, but I have
Wow.
nothing.
Oh, come on.
I'll come up with something later.
Wow.
So mine is on parking, and I just wanna bring this up again, that they did away with, that we will no longer be able to chalk next year. So,
Unbelievable.
and I don't think that will ever come back.
I agree with you.
And so, just to give you an update, last year, as of year to date, I should say, we wrote 946 parking tickets for 2021. Of those, 493 for a 3 or 4 hour parking. So those would be the ones downtown. So I don't know where we go from here, but I just wanted to sort of update you that this is gonna be a problem next year. The year that we went without chalking, we used the cameras in order to do our phones to take the pictures. That's very labor intensive. Based on our staffing next summer, I don't see us doing that a whole lot. What we did that year was we'd take a snapshot of maybe one block and we sort of staggered around town just to keep people on edge, but it's very time consuming too, so.
Is there a solution? Last year you talked about a couple of different quicker
Software.
solutions with
There's a
software.
software program that's similar to taking pictures.
Oh, so it's still
it's-
labor.
It's still labor intensive
Oh.
and it's expensive. I got the quote, I think 3 years ago, and I'll bring that back.
It was like 10 grand. wasn't it?
Yeah,
So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have the solution and maybe that's up to you and council.
Yeah, and council, this is definitely not in our plan.
Right. So I'm good with that. I just wanted to
Wow.
not next year come around and we don't do parking and see what happens.
The average price was $5 a ticket.
In that ballpark, we
So we're
wrote
talking $5,000 a year lost revenue.
it probably that ballpark, $5 to $10. We wrote a lot of tickets at Ford Park. Those are a little more expensive, 162 tickets. So that's of that $12,000, we've created $12,000 revenue of that $12,000. A lot of it was from Ford Park, but that still leaves roughly 300 tickets that we wrote elsewhere, overnight parking in the winter, stuff like that.
Well, and it's not getting any less busy in
No.
Harbor Springs either.
yeah. I don't think we should look at it strictly from a revenue standpoint.
I'm more looking as a compliance thing.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, the money goes in the general fund, obviously it's some money in the general fund, but it's not like we're paying the bills based on parking tickets. I look at it as more of a compliance issue and allowing our visitors to somewhere to park.
We know there'll be abuse if we don't do this.
Right.
But I think it's gonna be between the DDA and council to talk about how we want to do this. How we want, my concern would be making sure that the businesses downtown have adequate parking for people who want to serve them. And if we don't ticket, I think there'll be abuse.
Would the assumption be that those tickets downtown for 4-hour parking, that those would be employees probably?
No.
It's a hit or a miss. It's not all employees. I would say it's probably 20% employees at the most.
I mean, in our old block, I would see a lot of voters park
Yes.
and then walk across the
Construction
street.
people.
Yeah, a lot of, and hopefully that'll lessen.
Yeah.
Well, lawn care people in the morning, that'll take up
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
4 spots for
Yeah.
hours at a
Hours.
time.
So that's all I have.
We do have some discussions anyway.
I'd be very happy to come up with a, kind of a decal for my employees. You know, just, I'm just thinking outside the box there.
But if only 20% are employees and in the busy season, we've still got a lot of other people.
I mean, my opinion is I think it's very, very past time that parking needs to be addressed
I know.
in town, and I think it needs to be addressed by our city council. I mean, every other city has very good parking systems, you know, when we go up to Marquette, when we go on to Charlevoix.
I agree with that. With the failure of Headley, of course, we have two options going forward. It's either to raise revenue to cover costs or to cut costs and services. So pay parking, it's on the table. And
It's
gonna be
beyond
suggested
time, and I
and something
understand
else
that
on the
it's,
side.
yeah,
So-
I know that it's a very contentious topic because it's Old Town Harbor, but the amount of revenue that we're losing and as busy as Harbor Springs is getting,
6 figures.
it's just, there's absolutely no reason that we don't have paid parking.
And it's lack of revenue
And
to businesses.
it'll solve the problem of some people parking too long and construction workers, maybe they'll pay or maybe they'll move, but. either
Well,
you
and
pay or
it's
you
just,
lose.
and Petoskey, I mean, we've visited Petoskey twice, you put the app in your phone, Marquette had the same thing, it was like 15 cents, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's just, it's.
I think this is a great topic for council. I personally don't want to tackle this as a DDA.
No, but.
No, but I think that we can make a, recommendation.
Yeah, and we've looked at the kiosks before, which are certainly much more attractive.
Well, and most parking funds go to the DDA. I mean, we're up in Marquette and where it went, what it came across on my
That's a good
checking account, it said Marquette DDA. So those funds go into the DDA fund, so Petoskey's, all of them.
Well,
So-
they do, but do we have to hire somebody then, or do we, I mean, are we still relying on Kyle and his, when you have the kiosk?
Those are discussions we'll need to have. If,
Yeah.
you know, usually if Kyle's guys can't go and chalk tires, then maybe they'll go and they'll read to see if
We
there's
do
tickets.
that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of our
Yeah.
job.
So-
We could do the.
I imagine my theory, the cost would go to cover Kyle's guys and then parking maintain the parking spaces, snow plowing in those
Yeah.
parking. And so really where the money goes, it's really going to go to parking and police enforcement. Unless the DDA, you know, is gonna put up money to pay for the machines, which I doubt we can, because the machines are probably gonna be $5,000 to $10,000 a machine, a kiosk.
I'd say more than that.
At least, yeah, that's what I'm saying, at least installation. So depending on how many machines you put up, you're talking about, you know, $100,000 at least in investment, so. But that can all be discussed, those are details. Either way, it's gonna solve the parking problem and potentially a revenue problem. for us.
And this goes firmly to council,
Yeah,
and it's on the docket, so we're.
I'm gonna put it as part of the presentation, as they haven't heard of it yet, but it's gonna go as either we raise revenue through other sources or cut services.
Yeah.
On projects, so that's the option we have.
Well, I think we're definitely coming to the point where it needs to be handled.
And we could certainly assist council by giving
Yeah.
some
So-
bids.
I'm good. I just wanted to put that
Thank
out
you.
there so
Thank
that,
you.
We will dive into this.
so it's not like next May or June and all of a sudden it's like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, we need to have a plan.
So was this the full court this time, not
No,
the
it's
panel?
It's the sixth circuit, yeah.
The whole panel, not just the judges of 3.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll go back. I mean, we've been back and forth. I just don't see it getting overturned.
Didn't get any national publicity this time. It sure did last time.
Oh, it happened right at the end of our parking season.
Oh,
And people knew about it. We heard it.
wow,
Interesting.
wow.
Something very simplistic that I've said would be helpful, that we could have with the city as well as the chamber, et cetera, is maps of where parking is around town and showing the high school. The conversation came up last year of camp people. Well, showing that as a place to park and where the boardwalk is and how accessible that is to town. Of course, for some people, they can't make that walk. When I used to be a visitor here, I totally would have done that and walked down. And that actually gives visitors a great view of downtown Harbor Springs as they enter to come down. I have always felt at a loss on, I don't have a good parking map that I can give people. And I'd love to be able to have something online or piece of paper?
We have one
Yes,
online.
We have one
Do you
online.
have,
We
and
have-
Kyle has one.
Yeah.
okay, good, I need it.
I'll get it to you.
Okay, and then because I'll gladly print it and we should do, you know, QR coding. My point is making the information like so accessible. Where else is parking?
Yeah.
Where do people go? And even continuing to say it's a 3-hour limit or it's a 4-hour limit and posting those signs.
Yeah.
I think the signs should still get posted,
Yeah.
whether they get chalked or not chalked. Some people
Some
who pay
people,
attention to
Yeah.
things would actually,
most will.
yeah, they're gonna pay attention and go, oh my gosh, I'm getting close. I need to move my car.
If I could just say one thing, then I hopefully new city council doesn't want to take this for 4 rounds of public comment. And then even so far as to go and vote on it like the Deer Park. I mean, to me, that's the one thing that we need to get a control of with the, why.
Well, I don't think the general public will be a huge fan of this. I
No.
think it's gonna have to be a decision that is done and people just get used to
Yes.
it, like in every other city.
I agree.
And then there's gonna be ramifications for letting Headley fail. This is one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Thank you.
work to do. Thank you. All right, move into,
Just one more thought. So is the city gonna investigate the systems then, or like you
I'm
were
gonna-
saying,
What I'm,
Kyle already has some done.
well, what I will do is present options to council, and if they want to move forward on it, then the city will investigate unless they want, ask the DDA's help, that's up to them, but I'm more than willing to investigate with Kyle and Lucas and staff. But that's up to council. First, I'm gonna present the idea, then if they want to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Great question. All right, downtown enhancement. We've had a meeting and lots of conversation with various projects that are in our plan that we will be discussing as our 5 years ends next year.
So, as we know, we have some kind of an image of what people are complaining about with the downtown lights.
Did you enhance the green or not?
I did not enhance the green at all.
It's a good question.
Nope, this is exactly the way they show up at night, and they're very green, or some of them are very yellow, some of them are orange. Some of them don't,
Oh, it's really green now.
Some
yeah,
of them are out.
some of them, yes, are out. So, Dan Huey from the Harbor Springs Electric Company has given me a quote as far as changing the, giving a unified look. Sorry, yeah, the globes are $80
A piece.
a piece, yeah,
PIE.
yeah. And,
Margot Peace is spelled wrong.
I see that.
Thank you,
Moving on, though. So we need 68 on Main, 36 on Bay Street.
Do we totally need, are some already in place? There's a few.
There are some that are in place, but his plan would be to remove all of the ones on Main Street and put those in another location so that they were all brand new on Main.
Perfect.
And exactly matching, even though these are the same globes that he's able to get. That's why he has a Main Street number right there of $5,400. Changing them out in labor cost, $2,880. We broke it down to one pole, removing the ballast, rewiring and putting the rewiring for an LED and then changing to an LED bulb at each post costing $361.52, a labor cost, and then giving us the total for the whole project at $20,328. So
That's
I
not
think it's
bad.
very
It will make
reasonable.
a vastly different look.
The cost savings with LED.
We will have some cost savings, not huge, but there'll be cost savings.
Right.
I
I think you said you looked into that a couple of years
We
ago.
did.
It was nominal,
There-
because we own the electric company, the
Yeah.
cost savings was very
It's
nominal.
like under $1,000 or something per
Yeah.
year. It wasn't a lot.
Very, very small.
Okay.
No, but I mean, to
We
change
try to
out,
go after that.
to change out of to change a burnt out, how long did the light bulb last?
The last 10, 15 years.
Okay.
No, the old ones.
Oh, the old ones, I don't know about those.
So this is kind of an example, not perfectly, I understand that there's still not a light in all of them, but these are the newer globes. They're the same ones that he can get with the white daylight LED bulb. We would change all the bulbs so that they would match, all the globes so that they would match. And it would basically look like this one that is over by the Legion, which still is not complete. So,
Right, they're missing
Yeah.
stuff, but we get the idea of the lights and what they look like.
looks good in the
So
picture.
thank you for taking that.
I mean, look at this one up here, and you can really kind of see the difference in the clarity of the new globes. We do have money in our plan.
Since we're not doing anything completely structurally, can we handle this in-house with Victor?
This would
This we
be
can
done.
handle completely with the DDA.
Yeah.
So my
Doesn't have to
question,
go to city council.
On our
It's
TIF
in our
plan,
money.
So the way that works, and I talked about this with Margot, is that council, when the DDA approves their plan every 5 years, council technically approves that plan, so that means all those projects, you already have approval to do.
Correct.
It's with DDA money. It's if you need extra money from the general fund, or you're gonna change the project up significantly where you would wanna go back to council. We'd still inform council this is happening, but it's part of the plan, so it's.
I think this is a brilliant idea.
Don't you?
Mhm.
We're very excited about it, and it is in our, we do have it funded, we have a budget item for it. We do have funds for it, and, it's a positive, Dana nicely pointed out last month, what's hanging in my head a lot is to try to make things as nice as we can with what we have. This is going to make a huge difference without a huge price tag.
I have one more thing that I'd like to put on the table, as I was talking to somebody about this, and I've even been John Leo. And there apparently are LED bulbs that are better for dark sky, where they have like
Cocoon on the top.
something up at the top that shields light going up. So I just wonder if
Dan and I
that's,
can talk about that.
yeah, that might be good. And then we
Great.
also talked at enhancement committee meeting that I don't know if you guys have gotten into LED bulbs at home, but there's different values of the light. Like there's the daylight, there's, softer light, bluer light. I just think we have to be really sure that if we're changing all these out, that we're getting the right value. So these are daylight, you said.
So the white ones that you saw were and what's happened, why some of them look yellow but not green, is when he did change them out, he said there are a few that they were warm light versus daylight. He said now he's going to try, has been going around trying to make sure they're all daylight with the new globes, but that's why we're seeing some differences too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Are we sure we want daylight instead of warm light?
Speaking for somebody that sometimes leaves at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, driving down either Bay or up State to Maine, I am deathly afraid of running over a 2-year-old that darts out, that's at the either Yummies or they're riding bikes down Bay, and no flashing, no nothing, and you come across them, all of a sudden and I'm going like 18 miles an hour, because I'm afraid. I don't think we need to, in my opinion, it shouldn't be just an ambiance or a faint
I
light.
agree. We need something, because I'm right there with you. I mean, there's been plenty of times between people
What do
and
you
the
guys
deer
think?
that cross.
I like the idea of the dark sky. If we can go that way, it'd be great to cap the top if we can. I'm not
Plus
sure.
they're gonna just look.
And then the other thing is, rather than saying daylight, warm light and stuff, I would say we get the actual Kelvin number that's on there. So that way going forward, we always get the 9,000 or whether the 3,000, whatever it is, because each LED bulb has that number. If you guys remember when we went through this project before. And the other thing I would say is if this is in our plan, I don't want to spend $20,000 if the city's going to rip it up later. So I don't want to do it in silos. So if that's the case, if we are, because of the Headley and funding, we decide we're not going to do lights in the rest of the city. We're not going to put them on Bay Street. We're not going to put them on Main Street. We're not going to fix all the other lights down by Irish. And this is what we're going to do. I just like to see a return on investment going longer than 2 or 3 or 4 years. I think if we do this, it should be, you know, you're putting lipstick on a pig, and if that's okay with everybody, I'm good with it. But I don't want to rip it out and, you know, like when we do sidewalks and then they rip them out to put something underneath them. I really think we need to look at the overall picture of what the city wants to do. And if that's the case, then I'm happy doing this because I think it's gonna be much better than what it is today. But also, I don't like to waste money.
Just one more thought too, LED bulbs come in different wattages.
Mhm.
So I don't think we want it to look like a parking lot downtown. I know that light's important for safety, but I don't think we want it to be so lit up that it, you know, looks like some commercial parking lot. So I don't know what wattage she's got there. But maybe if everybody, what do you think about having a little homework assignment?
Well, I think there's a
Get
couple
back
of
to
things.
Marco.
One, Victor, I don't see a big sidewalk project coming in the next 5 to 10 years.
I don't know how a sidewalk project would affect the bulbs, wouldn't be taking.
That was an example of
Oh,
wasted
I
money.
just, I don't imagine anything the city would be doing anytime in the next couple of decades. I can't say for sure that would affect the light posts unless you completely redo downtown.
And that's what, the last time this came up in the project, the lighting projects, the presentation given to council was replacing every light and changing them over completely. And it was, what, $250,000?
I think that also involved the poles though.
It did.
It involved the poles,
The
not just the
pole-
bulbs.
And it was changing out the bulbs by the Jody's restaurant, the pier and all those, because those are the shepherd hooks, the piece of pipe coming out of the ground that looks so interesting. So I'm just saying that what we're gonna do is fine. I just wanna make sure we don't undo it later. The sidewalk was an example of it.
I know, I don't see anything that would affect the light posts. I mean, we just don't have a plan for that, and it's all in the DDA's hands for light posts.
When I spoke with Dan too, I think he was thinking that, I mean, obviously the cost for doing, replacing the posts and the entire post it was such a large number across the city that it's not something that they would be, you know, they were looking at changing or doing. And, you know, even when he and I talked about adding outlets on, he said, you really can't even add on outlets or anything to them to make them, you know, compliant with, you know, what needs to happen with electric wise. So really this is kind of the only option of doing anything right now. Otherwise, you are looking at like a major project that I
So
don't
why don't
think
we
is
look
gonna
at
be done.
this? We all seem to be in agreement that this is a good direction to go in. Why don't we make a motion to proceed, but hand off the decision of the bulb wattage,
Dark sky.
color and dark sky to the town enhancement committee? And as we're meeting again sometime soon, can we just make that decision
I'd
and
make
then
that
go
motion.
forward? Is that okay?
I would also ask maybe if Dan or Chief have any comments that you asked them about what kind of lighting they want to see downtown as well.
It's a great idea. I know we've got Dan involved, but Chief,
I'll take a look.
thank you. So
John, are you with us?
John Leo, he's not on audio.
I am here.
Thoughts?
Any thoughts?
No, I think it's headed in the right direction.
Thank you.
Did you have any, were you gonna walk into your next city council meeting and ask that we rip out all the light posts and put in new ones?
Just to rephrase, it wasn't just a ring of fire to replace it, because everybody didn't like the globes, that's where we were going.
I'm not giving you a hard time.
And it's too high based on what they said.
I think council will be fine with this. John, do you concur?
Well, I can't speak for council. I never want to appear to speak for council, but this is a very reasonable approach to improve something that's been an eyesore for a long time.
And it lets us continue on that. Let's try to make things as nice as we can do. So I would like to make a motion that we move forward with this lighting project and leave the details of the wattage, lighting, color, and dark sky to the Downtown Enhancement Committee, who will be meeting within the next 2 weeks to finalize this.
Second.
Okay?
Wait a second, wait a second.
I just want to
Oh,
say,
okay.
I'm sure there are lots of photos, but it'd be great to take a photo right before you make the change, so you can see the difference.
Thank
when
you.
the change has
Great
been
idea.
made. So people say, why did you do this? You can go,
There's a photo.
here's the example.
Bad. And
This, yeah, I mean, this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, but even if you had,
Really close,
like
so,
either a
yeah.
drone shot, even something like that that could show a larger,
which we'll definitely need next year as we go out on the road showing what we've done.
yes,
Yeah.
Good
exactly.
point. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Just one more question. Does this seem like something that Dan could get done this year?
Yes,
He said
so-
January.
So
Okay.
he said as soon as, I spoke with him yesterday, he said as soon as we meet today, he can go ahead and order the globes, because that may take a little while, and then installation could start after the new year.
So we've got plenty of time to work out the details.
Great.
But he would like to order the globes
Supply chain issues.
sooner than later.
Sooner, yeah, yes.
Great.
Ah, good job. Okay, move into Merchants Walkway.
Okay. We have so far received one estimate from Cups Masonry to demo roughly 1,000 square feet of brick and concrete around the fountain, and demo the fountain and replace with standard concrete. I'll pause there a second. The quote he gave us is $17,364 for that. That does not include the concrete steps and walkway up by Graham Real Estate or anything like that. I know after the Downtown Enhancement Committee, there were some questions about using stamped concrete or painted concrete. So he and I did talk about looking at an aggregate or something else, and he is going to give me some more specific numbers, but he's had a little bit of a busy
Yeah.
couple weeks too.
So just kind of just to recap, the enhancement committee is looking at just cleaning up that eyesore and hoping to make it something we can move into. It is in our plan. We do have funds that we allocated for this project. We are not quite ready as a committee to move forward. We've got some questions we don't have answers to. I did look at the steps. They look fine to me. The wall adjacent to it does not look fine to me. And I don't know whose wall that is, but it's got big cracks.
I do know now, let me rotate this. I also spoke with two other contractors, Keller,
I go to edit at the upper
thank
left.
you, I don't know why they just
and
did
then,
that. Oh,
well,
There we go.
Never mind. Yeah,
nope,
go to view, sorry.
and, there we go.
Oh, I just learned that too. Thank
There
you.
we go. Anyways, I spoke with Keller Caretaking. They're getting me a quote. Also, Dana got me a name for Tony Heathers, and he and I spoke again this week about moving forward on a quote. One thing we were talking about and looking at, and
What streets are what on this, Marco? Just to
let
orient
me
us.
let me move it down. Okay, so
That's Bay.
Okay.
this
there's
is
May.
May, yep, this is May.
And then you can see the walkway going up by a cottage company.
Right, so we're
And
talking
that's,
about here.
You
Let
can
me
see the
blow this up a
pool.
little bit.
yeah, you can see the,
Oh, there we go.
there it is. There, you can
Cool.
see the,
There's
water
there's the
feature.
water feature right here. The city owns this walkway, and it was confirmed to me that yes, Pierre Bitar does own the walkway back here. It is not Graham's. Graham owns these two spots. As you can see, this is Pierre's shaped.
I did
piece of
not know
property.
before yesterday.
And,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Wow. So he has entrance off of Spring all the way back behind his building. And there are two different colors of bricks back there. His spots to colors for him, and then we must have laid brick that we paid for on part of it. Victor, we have an easement across Pierre's property,
it is a pedestrian easement only.
pedestrian easement only. But then the section below the wall on the Jones property, that is not eased, correct?
Well,
Not sure.
from what Jeff told me, and here we go, here's the survey. that view doesn't necessarily, the way the county does it, doesn't always necessarily make those little black lines go exactly along it the way, but you can see, here's the walkway up, the fountain that the city owns, the easement that comes along here, and a revocable license that comes along here. Jeff seemed to think that revocable license might be, the kind of the easements for maintenance and, you know, for us to do repairs on that walkway to the.
Here's a question that I have too. You think the fountain is here, or is it more like here? Because I think we were thinking like this whole square was.
We are.
But it's not, right?
Oh,
That says easement, not.
you're correct. Here, it does, Dana. We have been under the assumption that the fountain area,
So is the
Margot,
fountain
is-
partially on those easements?
It might be,
It looks like it is.
what about that electrical, the one that said electrical easement, might that be it, because it's, so
What
it's
does that
popping
say?
up there?
You gotta remember that those black lines, like Margot was saying, don't line up at the county right there. They don't perfectly line up with the actual parcel lines.
so I guess the question Dana has is the fountain on the city
Here.
property or on the easement?
Looks like it's half and half.
Well, I mean, based on those lines, it looks like it's happening. The only way we can really know for sure is
Survey.
you survey or have benchmark look at it and just make sure.
So Victor, what is your take on doing work on easement property?
I mean, we have to look at the terms of the easement more closely. I'd probably ask Jim Raymer, because if it's a pedestrian walkway, we are allowed to, an easement, we're allowed to maintain it and do work there to keep it a pedestrian walkway. But
Okay,
to what extent what kind of work that is, I'm not sure.
Is that something that could be looked into before we go any further?
Yeah.
we have a couple of questions. Can that whole brick way on the bottom L of now what we now know as Pierre's, it's the southern edge along that whole strip.
Right.
It's the red brick that matches the red brick that we're removing, and it's in bad shape. So
Down here, and see, this is where this isn't lining up, because I do think this line actually does cover the whole walkway down there for Pierre's.
So when you start through the walkway, that has nothing to do with Mossberg.
No.
City property.
No.
And that has been lovely, it's lovely right now. They did some great work there. this
Yes, they
spring
have
to bring it
repaired
back.
it. It's really nice.
So our original effort was to clean up the eyesore and then hope that the buildings along it, seeing what we've done, will also kind of do their part. This is not a lot of money, but a couple, so I guess there's several questions that the committee has to address. One, we all need to look at those steps. I think they're fine. Two, who owns that wall and whose job is it to repair it? It's a retaining wall of hefty heights between Graham and Jones. And then the easement area, are we okay with where is the fountain in the area we've got a bid on ours to do? And then part B, should we proceed with the sidewalk on the bottom L that is easement? So we've got some work to do.
Or do we
Margaret, you have
split it
those
into two
questions?
phases?
Take that.
Who is,
Actually,
who is Jones? Are you talking about Mary Kay?
Yeah.
That,
the whole Harbor Title building. See,
the
that
one where Kohler used to be?
right on the corner, right there. And it's got an L-shaped lot and
Yeah.
there's a big, right where the black line is at the bottom of Pierre's L is
Uh-huh.
a tall wall.
Mhm.
And I actually went through and
Oh,
took
yeah, yeah,
photos
yeah.
and sent it to our committee.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
tough.
it's like right
Well,
right
who
here.
owns it now? She
That's-
died.
That's in trust.
Yeah, the family.
And I
And who
think,
put the wall up? Did we put the wall up?
Well,
We don't know.
my
That's the
understanding is that walkway was put up by the city, and I don't know whether the wall was as well, but whenever that easement was made, the city put in this whole brick walkway from end to end. Now, up here where Pearson's is, they have actually moved the easement, and because they wanted that patio right up there, up by their adjacent to their property, you know, so they moved the easement a little north so that we still had a walkway through the whole alleyway, but some of that has changed as well. But
It's my understanding that we don't have any easement now to the west of that little plaza area.
we have an easement all the way across.
Yes, we do.
We have
We
easement,
just
but
haven't-
they just park cars.
I thought something happened and then lapsed.
No, it doesn't
No.
collapse.
No, they've just chosen
They
to
just chosen to ignore it.
park the car there.
So we've got some work to do. So as the last conversation, I would like to proceed with, are we all okay with having the committee dive more into these answers and bring those answers back in December?
Well, can I ask a question? Let's say we spend $20,000 on the lighting, which is gonna make a huge impact in the downtown area. How many people really know about this walkway beside the locals that use it as I'll walk there to go to the bank from the pier, it's I used to walk that way, stop in and see Sandy Kohler, I'm just wondering,
Most don't. I've heard from visitors that when we talk sometimes that we didn't know there's nothing to invite them there.
But it's an eyesore and it's a safety issue,
But
I
I
believe.
think it could be. I mean, again, other cities have really super cool alleyways. Look at Charlevoix. Marquette has done a ton to their stuff. So, and I understand that businesses have to get behind some of it too. We talked about this in the last meeting, but I think we need to do our part to do what we can to
Make things nice.
make things better. And
so we really need to look at the property lines of Graham.
We've got that one.
They only
Mary Kay,
own, the Graham only owns their building
Yeah.
and the parking lot, right, but the 2 parking spots right behind them. Anything behind that is piers.
So all the wall where all the vines start,
Years probably.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Right,
come
but
in
that's
there-
further down a little bit than Graham, because
Right
Graham's
by the
clear.
steps.
Right, I'm at Graham's and then I pan to the left.
And the steps right here, I think.
Steps are right there,
So the wall is kind of like.
right there, yeah. I can send around the photos that I,
So in the essence of time, I mean, I agree that we need so much more information before we can go anything. And I think what Kathy's asking is if we can just pursue and get some information and bring it back here, we don't have to hash it
Do we
out.
need a motion on
I
that?
don't think so.
No.
Do we need a motion? I don't think so.
Agreement?
I think if you're all okay, that we just keep doing homework and we'll come back.
Yes.
You okay, Josh, with that?
That's wonderful.
Homework,
I
okay.
think, I had made a point too that maybe we don't go into this with the idea of doing something extravagant, to your point, Joe.
Absolutely.
Just
Clean it
try
up
and make
and
it nice and not nice, or
Yeah.
and do this sort of like on the trail basis, which I think is appealing to council, right? Is so you get like the plaza area cleaned up, fixed up, get some site furniture in there. And then maybe we host some events, like some jazz on Sunday morning was one thing that, Rachel and,
Yeah.
what's her name?
Cindy.
Mary Catherine.
That's the thing that I think is, once it is in a presentable state, it's marketing.
Yeah.
It's just putting it out there. It's making it knowledgeable to the public, and we can help with that as well. Because, as a visitor, I never knew. I'd look at it and I'd go, I don't know, is that private property?
Yeah.
And I'd avoid it because I didn't want to go on private property.
others.
So I mean, a little bit of signage, a little bit of.
Promotions, I think would be good. I mean, as
Yeah.
a resident, I didn't know the library was public either. So I mean, there's a lot of
True.
advertisements that need to get out there.
Yes, absolutely.
It's that library's for everybody. People sometimes don't even know we have a
Yeah,
library.
exactly.
Yeah.
So another topic once we get answers to some of these easement issues is we get a bid on the sidewalk repair work on the Tower L, and we could do this in phases. But I need to know all of the answers before I'm able to make a decision.
I think that's a great idea.
So we will come back to you with this in December with more
Perfect.
clarity. We've done a lot of work with this in the last month. Got a lot more
Just one more
questions.
thing for Margot too, is if you're gonna be talking to Jim Raymer about who owns what, maybe to ask him, or maybe Victor knows this, if we're allowed to make improvements on private property, if it's an easement.
Depends. So for example, if it's an easement, the boardwalk, we have the boardwalk, existing boardwalk, we're allowed to maintain that and fix that boardwalk as we wish. So it just depends, on the wording of the easement. So no easements are the same. They're all different. So we have to look at the specific wording. And if it just says pedestrian, then we're allowed to maintain it as a pedestrian use.
That's what Jeff was thinking was possibly the wording of the revocable license here,
Yeah,
that goes,
that
runs
might be
all the way
different.
along through here.
Who owns the boardwalk?
Well, there is
Bluff.
private properties, but the bluff is
That's
a
interesting.
city owned, the boardwalk itself is the city, so we have an easement, prescribed easement.
Okay, we've got more work to do.
I know, and if we go forward, we can have our student council or student representative approach the jazz band at the school and play, see if they want to play jazz down there.
Yeah,
I
cool.
mean, yeah, my dad's band director, so.
That's right.
Sounds like a sure thing.
I think we have it in that way.
Or display artwork, that's always cool, to display
Oh,
artwork.
yeah.
There's all kinds of neat things.
Yeah,
Well, that was
we
the
could
whole,
promote in
that was the
there.
whole point of
Yeah.
when Rachel and Cindy were trying to
Yeah.
get this off the ground, was exactly all of that, make it
Exactly.
a usable public space.
So maybe we start with the square and trial some stuff before we spend a lot of money into doing the rest of it.
Yeah, that's, yeah, we got some work to do, and we'll be back at it, give you a full report next
I'm
month.
sorry, can I ask you, did you say what, cups, estimate was for removal and then installation of what?
Just floor.
Of a concrete patio.
Just one big.
Kind of that square area around the thing.
And both Cups and Tony just said it's not even, they felt it wasn't worth giving another quote for repairing it because they said it was gonna be about up at the same price and it's just gonna keep looking like it does, so.
That gives us more workable space.
I think if we do something like that we have to go looking nicer than just poured cement. Whether it's-
Well,
Yeah,
again, let's let the enhancer committee, I mean,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Dana had a lot of
Yeah.
ideas about crisscross, I mean, let's just move on and then we'll
We
come
do
back.
have some
with
ideas for, look,
We do want to
basically
make it look
borders.
nice, so
We
we
do.
really agree.
totally with you on
Yeah.
that. Okay, let's move into Third Street lights.
Yes.
By the way, this committee's been busy the last few weeks.
Yeah. So the lights, little background information, the holiday lights were turned off on Third Street. I have received several emails, from, Maggie Lacy, from Margaret Vaden, and, from, I don't know what her name is,
Doug Peachy,
Jane Kopp, and directly, at least, saying that they would like the lights turned back on. I spoke with Nick, it is about approximately $40 a month for us to keep those lights on, those tree lights. And at this point, the city was saying they were gonna keep the lights on during the holiday season, but if we want to decide whether we're going to keep them on year round, then we need to look at whether the DDA pays for that or not.
$40 a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
So $480 a year. to
You know, we
keep
have
it.
holiday lighting and lighting in our plan and we have funds for it. If that is an issue, I think we could do our part to pay $40 a month.
Transfer $480 to the city fund from the DDA
We just
fund.
pay for it. I don't know how that works.
Are you okay with that, Victor? Or do you have any idea why, or was this discussed that you were aware of?
Of what in particular?
Turn the lights
Why were
on.
they turned off?
I'm not sure exactly why they were turned off.
Lucas, when Lucas told me that he was turning them off, it was because the city was paying for them out of the electric fund, out of the general fund and that was a specific, and that the holiday lights on Main Street weren't on the rest of the year either. That was the
I think that's what it was, because they both aren't on at the same time.
If
So
the
I think it
residents-
brings up a couple of points that we should address here. One, if the DDA does something, and this is the part where I don't like to do things in silos, I really would think this would have been better if Lucas wanted to turn them off and go to the DDA and say, hey, by the way, I'm gonna turn off your lights that's in the DDA. I think that communication piece, it brings up it screams more collaboration between the city and the DDA rather than just flipping the switch. In the very beginning, I believe it was brought up that they were gonna go on, weren't gonna go on. It went to council, actually. Council said, no, don't turn them on. They didn't want them on. That is in the council, if you look back in the minutes. So then would we be able to turn it on? I guess my question is, because it is the DDA, but the council already said no. I personally want them on. We've heard a lot of people want them off. There's letters that are still coming in, emails that are still coming in this morning. They keep forwarding to Margot for other people that want them on as well. Again, that we just want to make sure we do it the right way. They've been on for now 2 years. So now the change to me without communication, I think it screams that we need to have better communication with our city to make sure the DDA is doing things the city wants to do. So that would be one thing I think it does. The $40 a month, I don't see a problem with. If we're going to turn them on, I think this DDA could pay for it. It's like what Victor and I talked about earlier, where I'm like, well, okay, so is the DDA going to pay for plowing downtown? Are they going to pay for the electricity downtown? Should we turn off all the lights except for Christmas time in the city? You know, probably no is the question. I'm being exaggerating right now, but the point is new projects we talked about, and I kind of like that. And Victor's brought the idea of like new projects that talk about what's going to take to maintain it. This would be a project that's right on the cusp of doing that. So if we pay $40 a month, I think that's great. But no matter what we do, we're gonna have somebody upset. I mean, we already know Josh doesn't like the looks of the lights or the wrap lights without being on, so he's not the only person. So how do we move forward? I don't think it's the money that we're worried about. And then how do we collaborate with the city to make sure we do something in unison, is my question.
I agree with that.
Did the city say we're turning them off because we're paying for them and we don't want to pay for them? Was that the
When we went to
reason?
council a while ago, they didn't feel that the city should have been paying for lights to be on all year long.
Okay,
And I think that's both Main Street and Third Street. I think that was Lucas's reasoning for also turning them off, that since the Main Street ones were not and the Third Street ones were on, they should be turned off.
And then,
can I ask one more question? But the Main Street ones aren't even up. They're only up during the
They're only
holidays.
up during the
Right,
holidays. And
right,
that was the
right.
reason that the Third Street, that there's no direction for the city to pay for Third Street lights to be on all year long.
now, if we want to pay for it, that's where I think that we could say, okay, yeah, we were charged, was it 1 month or 2 months back a year and a half ago? And it was whatever, $38 or something. And then I brought it up at that time. I'm like, well, we need to have a discussion. I don't mind paying for it if we have the money, but we should have a path going forward. So if we decide to put a disco ball in the merchant walkway, who's going to pay for the lights on that, you know?
I
So,
like that.
so I like the idea of talking about it. I want to get communication. I really want collaboration with the city, and I'm okay paying for it. I'm just saying, going forward, I would love, maybe we ask that we communicate, you know, together, and, you know, we could make like Victor said, the city doesn't think that the city should pay for the lights on Third Street, so let's turn them off. Okay, so let's come up with a plan rather than just turn them off. Let's talk about it. So we can come up with a proposal to the city when we come up with the other lights on Main Street. Hey, our proposal is replace these bulbs, do this, blah, blah, blah. And we have the money to turn the lights on Third Street. There's a lot of people on Third Street are saying that Peachy guy, he's talking about the safety of walking on Third Street. Greg
You're already at a
Garber,
handicap
right,
from a business
Yeah.
standpoint, because
We've gotten comments also about Main Street lights, that those should be on all year long or longer. So this is not, you know, I think there's discrepancy here of, I said there's difference in opinions here of people who are saying, all right, let's keep the lights on all year because it makes it look better, versus the taxpayers that don't go downtown often or don't do anything downtown want to pay for the lights to be on all year long, aside from the holiday season. So we get both of those kinds of comments. So it's really, you know,
If we decide to turn the lights back on and pay for it, do we have to go to council? Or can we just do
no,
that?
I don't think we do.
I'm happy to write a
Unless you want
$40
council
check
to-
right now for 1 month of it. I think it's kind of crazy.
no,
Right.
yeah, I
Unless
gotta.
you want the general fund.
I'll
pay
take
for
the
it. I don't
second
think right now
one.
with
There we go. We got 2 months. I mean, if.
Well, I think the DDA can, I mean,
Yeah, but
this doesn't have to come from
Donations.
donation.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'll
I'm
pay
just,
for it out of my checkbook.
I'm just saying, we support the idea of turning those back on. We obviously have the residents, business owners on that street who believe it. The discrepancy seems to be, is the city gonna pay for the normal lighting period of holiday? We pay the rest? I don't care.
Is
I'd like
is
to-
that the majority of the people on Third Street? I mean,
No, but.
not to say like Josh, screw you, but he doesn't care for them. Do we have to should we take I mean, is it a definite swinging one way that,
To me, the letters
The
that are
merchants,
coming in, the
the
people that stop
letters.
in my office, they want one. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, but there is one resident, that when that big tree went out, they were very happy that tree went out because they said it lit up their
I
house.
think I spoke to that resident and she, and because moving on to the next part of this, of relighting that tree, the tree next to it, she seemed okay with that, but that's not how we base things anyways in the city. I mean, we don't base it on one resident's, personal choice. It's whether, what works for the city or what doesn't.
can I ask John? John Leo?
Yes.
Well, hello. Do you remember anything about council saying turn off the lights?
I don't remember that coming before council.
I don't think it did.
So it's just a decision made, and I think lights at night are great. I don't like the PVC running up the side.
I agree.
That's it. So moving forward, I would love if there's an option, we could core the tree. But I would,
Yep, let's do that.
I would be totally for the DDA going and saying, yes, let's pay the bill. And it makes sense because it was a DDA
It
project.
does.
I think it's great because then it's follow through with the project. And if Victor says he doesn't think council needs to be addressed on this,
Okay.
and I think that's great. I think Tim also.
I'd like to add
So-
something too. Jody brings up
But I think,
placemaking,
I think Tim also has a great point in when we move forward with the city lights. Let's lay it all out on the table and say, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
That's,
And we say, tell us now, city council, please, yes or no, because we're gonna do this. And then, if we just say bam, bam, then I think we're good to go.
Are we talking about regular LED strands? Like, rather than, I would not like to see colored lights all year
Oh, no.
long.
No.
Oh, no.
I mean,
no,
that
no,
would
no,
be.
just what they have right now. It's just a conversation of turning it on and turning it off.
No, but I'm talking about all the way down Main Street. like
No.
we do.
No, just the,
They're not
no.
We're not even talking about Main Street right now. We're just talking about
I
Third.
know, but I would like the downtown enhancement to think about putting white lights up, which we have to think about pretty soon before they pull out
They're
the.
already up, aren't
They're
they?
up.
They went up yesterday or day
They were
before.
going up yesterday and the day before.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
I don't know if they reached out. I saw them outside.
And they're not colored.
They're not colored.
No,
They're
no,
white.
no, no.
Just
They're all
normal.
right on the street.
Well,
Okay,
I think too, just looking at what is the policy, especially for someone who hadn't come to Harbor Springs, I thought it was strange that Third Street was lit, but Main Street wasn't.
But there's not
This is what I
great
was
street
trying to
lighting
say.
on Third Street
Right,
either.
no, I understand it. I mean, I understand that now, but just as a,
Ah.
when you first come in and go, what?
as a tourist, you walk in and you think,
What? Yeah, so I think there's just policy. What is
I
it?
don't
This is
think
what we
everything
like.
has to look the same though, like from the placemaking standpoint, it does make Third Street stand out as a different place than Main Street, which it is.
I get
And I
it.
think the other
But
thing,
you still have to look at what's the policy. Are lights going up on Main Street longer, whatever. I think enhancement's doing a great job, but let's look at that and reasons. Why are we doing
Okay.
this? Why is this important?
We'll dive back.
What
into
should
that.
be done and
and
what do we
how much,
recommend?
how much would it cost to leave the lights on down Main Street year round?
You can't unless you put them up in a different
Because
fashion.
they're strong
There's
from the top.
From
Probably
the
the
upper length.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have
We can
seasonal
talk about
changes too, though,
Going
maybe
forward,
where we would become more known to them or something if they're up all year.
Yeah.
Something we all look forward to, this time of year.
Don't we usually keep them up till like?
Until it's safe to take it down.
Until we take them down.
Yeah, it's February.
Usually presidents.
I like that. I like that. We keep it
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's usually right around. yeah.
Last year was a little longer. We kept them a little longer because of COVID. We just to bring some, but usually it's early February.
It's a bit of work.
It's
I
usually
think
after
in
Ice
one
Fest.
year, they want to keep it up after Ice Fest, so they were up for
That's- yeah,
Ice
we
We
Yeah,
love
Fest.
that's
that
what it
if
was.
they could
Yes.
stay longer than.
So let's do this, since we're already hitting the hour mark on our meeting, let's, I think we should make a motion to turn the lights back on and that the DDA pay for it, and that there needs to be some work, from the enhancement committee on this, and we'll bring that back up.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
We're
the one
lit.
that We're doing what Josh said, right, where we're gonna, when we go to the council, hey, by the way, this is.
Totally.
Yes, we need to make sure, like you said, that there's open lines of communication with whatever projects that we do.
I mean, I don't wanna get Lucas, but can you find out if he just took it upon himself to just shut them off. I don't mean to be,
Well, we,
I love Lucas.
now
but-
we know.
Do we need to belabor it though?
No. Okay, let's move into the promotions committee, Ice Fest.
Ice Fest.
I think it does matter because the irrigation.
Mo- The promotions committee met and has started work on Ice Fest 2022. I took Amy so wonderfully last year, made an action plan for us for 2021. I kind of revamped it for 2022. Some of the things that we talked about going into Ice Fest for this year are bringing back the horse and carriage, making Zorg Park a more interactive park with interactive ice demonstrations and displays. I know Nikki spoke with, I can't remember her name, Nikki, from the No Way Out, the escape room, about doing another, like an escape challenge downtown instead of like a Find Frosty. We talked about sled dogs, outdoor equipment. Maybe Josh would be willing, to do a snowshoe demonstration again in the park, and just really using that park as a more used and interactive space. I've spoken with Greg from Rock on Ice. He's all set for the confirmed dates of February 11th and 12th. He did send me a new price list. The prices have gone up. I think in the past, a single carving, what it cost us was $175, and we charged $350. The price has now gone up to $225. So it's something we need to think about, whether we raise our price or we just make less. We've also, and that goes with all of the things. I mean, I'd say from his price list, and that's something the promotions committee will look over. We talked about doing, really getting out and doing something like a title sponsors versus presenting sponsors, and really getting levels and putting something together. So we're gonna be doing that by the next promotions committee. If anyone would like the Google sheet, this has all been revamped for 2022. If you'd like to have access to it, I think the entire promotions committee does have access to it, but anybody else, if they want to, it does include what people did last year, in the previous years, who's been contacted, and how to contact them. So that's where we are on Ice Fest. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
Did you talk about chili cook-off this year?
We did talk about a chili cook-off. And
Yeah, we all kind of discussed that, and we were all pretty much in unison that we have to do what we can to make this event safe still. We don't know where we will be at. We also have to look at the fact that the restaurants are still very short-staffed. And that event does cost us money to put on if there isn't a good turnout. I mean, it was already a labor-intensive, volunteer-driven event. And we just didn't think, we're trying to bring this event back with more demonstrations and getting people comfortable. And I think our focus would be better utilized elsewhere.
Another thought on that, we did Fall Fest at Marina Park. Loretta had her little cart. I wonder if maybe there would be a chili concession or something like that.
We talked about business of getting with the restaurants to have them maybe do a chili for that day, and we can promote that within their restaurants, so people who choose to go to eat, that they would be able to still patronize the restaurants.
chili special.
And having a chili special and making it part of the event, but not the cook-off, but with the possibility of being able to bring the chili cook-off back the next year. So it's still, the footing is still there for the event, and it's not being completely changed, but just making concessions on where we're at right now.
Like, we can't have amateurs because they have to come to the kitchen over there, and I stood there last year for 4 hours while that
And I just,
amateur, yet she was a professional, but she's not really affiliated with anyone. What was her name? Karen?
Karen Williams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And so it was her and I for like 3 hours while I'm watching her chop onions and peppers.
Well, and I just don't think that the restaurants have the capacity on a weekend it's a busy weekend. I mean, it was a busy
It is.
weekend last year when we just had sculptures out. So
Yeah.
I just, and with as short staffed as the restaurants are right now, to ask them to have volunteers to come in and to do that. I think that we can bring back the other parts of this festival that are outside based, that we can do it safely, and have the community support behind it. And then look at bringing something, because I would love to see the chili cook-off come back for sure. But I think that being able to do that in 2023 would be better suited than trying to do it this
makes
year.
sense.
How about somebody selling hot chocolate or something?
We did that last
We did
year.
that
We did do that.
Yeah, that'd be a nice way to get the high school
We
involved
did.
or
I
something.
think that's a great idea, and then you
We've
can
had
go
that
to
the
the
last
city,
couple
Matt
years.
McGarry wanted the chili cook-off, so you could tell Matt, hey, if you wanna set up a booth and sell chili outside, you can do that. Loretta, if you wanna sell hot dogs, you can do that. I mean, those are ways that people get food without going into the restaurant. But I agree with you, I mean, trying to bring back the whole chili cook-off now when you don't know where it's gonna be.
I just
And if
think
you
that's-
plan it and then all of a sudden they turn it off, that would be,
It's a good segue to
yeah.
next year.
That's crazy to
All
think about the last one where it was so crowded and COVID had already started that we didn't really
Didn't know.
realize how bad it was.
Okay, so thank you,
So,
committee.
So one thing that I wanted to look at was a financial allocation that the DDA wanted to make. We were talking about, last year, we did do a large interactive, picture frame sculpture. But I know it came up in the promotions committee about us sponsoring, something, whether it's an ice bowling or something, and really make it that the DDA, the City of Harbor Springs DDA presents, this event. And what did the DDA want to make as a financial allocation? And then the promotions committee can look at how it's spent, but
That's a good idea.
I think we need to look if we're still gonna sell at 350 or if we're gonna go to 450.
Well, I think that we
Before we make-
absolutely need to, I think businesses expect that prices are gonna be raised. Prices have been raised. Anybody who's in business right now, all of our prices have been raised throughout the last 18 months. So, I don't think that businesses wouldn't understand that the prices have to go up.
But I guess my question would be too, because we had 40 plus.
Yes.
We had 40 plus sculptures. Would this be considered something big for them, for what they do?
we raised it to, they were paying $350 and we raised it to 400. Or now this year, we do feel like we can do the interactive, and those I think we charged 500.
Well, it was
For the-
based on, so he has a structure. So the medium block interactive displays, he gave you a price break if you did packages of 5. So that's why we always did 5 demos.
And I think
Also,
it's 4 now.
is it 4? Okay.
I think when I just looked at the price list, it's 4.
Okay, so we get a price break based on that. So, and what we did before is we took what we made off of the event, and the DDA, out of what we made, paid for those, and we paid for, because we didn't have anything other than small block demo sponsorships from businesers. Nobody sponsored
second
any of the
year.
big stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, they didn't do it the first year. We paid for all of that as well.
No, you had the dueling chainsaws.
The
and-
DDA paid for that.
It wasn't
Yeah,
sponsored.
right.
That's what I'm saying. So we didn't have any business do anything other than the small blocks. So to your point, I don't think that we have to raise the prices. I mean, they haven't been raised since we started
Well, how
the event.
How about we meet again, like, right before the new year, maybe?
Well, I think
And-
we need to meet before that because we need to get out we need to get out the packets to get people to
Yeah.
sponsor.
And then
things.
let's, and then we'll talk about that and we'll determine what, but I still think that there could be a little bit of wiggle room with Rock on Ice. 40 sculptures seems like an awful lot to me. We're putting them up at the Crooked
I mean, I don't think so, though. I mean, they have to buy all that stuff. I mean, their prices have gone up too. I mean, and they haven't raised their prices on us since we started with them.
And to the original question of what do we want to put into it, well, it's gonna come from the Ice Fest budget.
What do you recommend? Is there, when you look at this, without having the budget right in front of us, is there an amount that you recommend that we can mull over and say?
I mean, I think that we could put in a few $1,000s to, whether it's like 2 or 3 to do some, to sponsor the dueling chainsaws, to really make sure some of those bigger things happen. Something like that, I would say $3,000 would be looking at where the larger interactive things are.
So a line item from that budget would be $3,000.
Yeah, and it's not
From the DDA.
from the DDA as opposed to just raising it from whether or not we
Absolutely.
get the sponsorships or not.
I'm fine with that.
And if we could absorb some of the costs, I mean, if they're raising it to $450 and we were charging $350, I would love to see 40 sculptures again. So if they're gonna make a business, if you jump at $100 with a business to say, yeah, I'm gonna do 1 or 2 again this year, or maybe we can lower some of the costs and split that with the businesses and let them know, by the way, prices have raised, but it's such a great event, the DDA, and advertise the fact that we are absorbing some of the costs because we believe in the event.
Well, and I think we've done that with because the event was never meant to make a bunch of money, but it has. I mean, it's made money every year that we've had it. And even with it making money, it still made money after we paid for the dueling chainsaws, the medium block carvings, all of the other parts of the event that has happened, it still made money. So even if we're raising the prices, just getting the businesses to understand that we still are paying for, you might be sponsoring this, but every other aspect of the event is happening based on what we're making off of these.
Yeah.
So,
Getting that word out, I think, is important to the business.
yeah.
So why don't we proceed with throwing this back to your committee, and we're okay with about $3,000. And we'll have more detail next month, but I'm quite happy with where you guys have come with this. It's a great project and great for the downtown. Okay, other events, promotions?
Yes, we're gonna have a winter fest. Marina Park Committee's been working on it, and originally it was gonna be at Marina Park, and I don't know where we are exactly, Victor, but we've been talking about maybe moving it to Kiwanis, which then I guess doesn't affect DDA that much.
January,
Yep,
right?
and we are potentially gonna go to council to talk about the Marina Park Committee structure and, looking whether it should also be incorporated to more of the Parks Committee. Just because where we're at financially, I doubt anything will happen at Marina Park next year. So as far as the structure, so time to rethink about that Marina Park
Okay.
Committee structure. So yes, so more discussions next council meeting.
So we're looking at not to interfere with us. I think we were talking about maybe the 3rd week in January.
Okay.
I did want to mention, I know Petoskey continued with their Halloween downtown event this past, weekend, and I didn't know, Bonnie and I kind of talked a little bit beforehand, and I didn't know if that was something the DDA wanted to, what your plan was, Bonnie, for it, whether that was something the DDA wanted to bring back the downtown trick or treating and anything just to put in as another.
Oh, let's look at that for next year. It wasn't something that, well, I know a lot of merchants had a lot of candy and not a lot of kids. So we need better promotion than we did last time, but it was a great way to get people downtown.
Oh, you won't sneeze because you're coming.
Okay.
Usually I do
This
them
way,
in
yeah.
3.
Let's move
Thank
into
you.
director update.
Also, it was on a Sunday,
I know,
so that was.
yeah.
We had a really successful unplanting day on October 24th. The National Honor Society kids came in and got those plants out like super fast. It was great.
Like 20 minutes.
They whipped them out, and
As it should be.
thank you to DPW for coming the next morning and
Picking it up.
scooping it all up. And I am going to be going to the city council on December 6th to give an update on on the DDA finances and just update our projects to the new city council, which has remained the same city council.
Okay.
But just to do that annually. Also, I will have to be going to get just approval for the Ice Fest, to city council for that. We did cancel the merchants meeting for the fall. People, they just left and it was too late. So I think what we will plan to do is do one in September, towards the end of September. We'll do one in June. Make this biannual meetup in June, early June, and then in end of September before the businesses seasonally leave. And that would be good. And I'm still working on the tree on 3rd Street as far as I've got Bear River Electric is coming out tomorrow morning to look at the conduit, moving that down to the next tree. And then I spoke with Alex from the Holiday Lighting. He said it would be less than $1,000 as far as if we wanted to light that other maple tree, since there is not going to be a new tree going back to that original spot.
And where are you with the insurance company of the offender?
I am continually calling, and Kyle's now looking into it a little bit to help me because he is not responding.
Okay.
So once we move the electrical, then we can get a tree grinder in there and grind that stump. And we're not grinding it now because the electrical's right there, correct?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to them
Yeah.
about
'Cause
that.
we don't want to leave the stump there.
Yeah.
That's horrible looking. And then when Bear River is electric, can you ask them, rather than putting conduit, could they wrap the tree? Would that be better for you? You know what I'm saying? How sometimes, like when I do Christmas lights, I don't have conduit, but I wrap an extension
True.
cord up to the top.
But I don't think that was Bear River. Bear River's just gonna come, weren't they the ones that they just move the conduit and they leave and they put the box
Holiday
in the
Lighting
ground
does
and then
it.
Holiday Lighting does it?
Holiday would be the ones that ask them if they can wrap that tree. Bear River did put the conduit along the tree.
Okay.
Okay,
They put the boxes in the ground,
Oh,
and then
And then they
based
put the
on our electrical company, those boxes were in the ground, and then they ran it over, and then they put the conduit up, and then from there, Holiday Lighting took the trees over. But they might be able to do a outside extension cord that doesn't have lights on it and come down the tree, which I do believe it would look better than a plastic
right. Plus they're
pipe.
pulling away.
Yeah,
Some of
probably
those
less.
are, the trees are growing and they are pulling the piping.
So that might be a great thing to look at to make, and then as we repair them, we can replace that out.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
can
Okay.
I bring up one more thing? In our finance committee, we talked about a raise for Margot. And I wanted this group to talk about it. If we come to a kind of a consensus, we don't have to go to city council, do we?
No.
We just do it ourselves. And we were really just talking about, at the time, I think,
We did,
Tim, weren't we just talking about cost of living?
we did 3% last year, I believe.
We did 3%. We wanted to coordinate that, whatever date it was, the last time we gave Margot a raise, that there was a cost of living, at least a cost of living raise on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to
That's
make
what
sure
do
we,
with City employees as well.
And will that be roughly 3 this year?
and that's what we talked about, is trying to keep it with the city, so there's not animosity between the DDA and the city.
But you also remember DDA is a separate fund, so you
It
guys can choose
Yeah.
to more. I mean, it's just, our people are under different union agreements, different administrative agreements that Margot's
Okay.
contract with you.
So do we need a motion on her anniversary date, which is coming up shortly,
When is the anniversary?
December something?
So we probably should schedule a review for her,
Yeah.
you know,
That's a good point. We should do that.
yeah.
Why don't we then we'll do that, move forward. Okay, December meeting, we'll approve
So
that.
no motion?
We'll do that in December.
December. Motion to have it in
I make a
December.
motion that you and Kathy give her a review and a 50% raise.
I like that.
Oh,
Hang on to the chamber people.
Just kidding.
I love it.
We all get in.
Okay,
All right.
all right, we, public comment. We have accomplished a lot today. Thank you all for coming. We have some committee work that will be done in the next few weeks, by a couple different committees, and we will see you back here on December 2nd. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.